Okay. Yeah. So hi again. I'm the instructor Shlomo Dubnov. I'm a professor in music and computer science. Um, so the first thing I want to talk about is a little bit of how you study the course, how it's structured, and I try to make this as asynchronous as possible. So we have all the course materials available, and we will look. I'll switch to Canvas in a second, and then we can actually go and see how it's organized. What is the best way to facilitate your learning? I'll be here every time at the beginning of the class, and I'll give you an overview about the class, and then I'll be back again uh, um, at 1 p.m. my time. Basically, I will let you like have the first after our introduction meetings. If you have any discussion to do, please. If not, I will kind of maybe take some time off and come back for the last hour. Just be there to see if there are any questions or technical issues or things I can help with. Because I think a lot of the materials, the way I structure them with the quizzes and the questions are such that you can do them on your own. So the other thing I would like to mention is the question about the discussion, the sections. So on the register, it shows that there is a discussion section allocated, but there are no TAs in the summer session. So there's no really a discussion section. We don't have a TA, but I will use this time as office hours and by appointment. So if if you want to meet with me one-on-one, send me an email, and this will be, I think, the most convenient time to meet at 2 o'clock after class. So our class, I'm talking about San Diego or PST, Pacific Standard Time. We'll start at 11. I'll meet you here on Monday and Wednesday. And then I will be available again after that introduction towards the end of the class, starting from 1 to 2, just to talk to everyone or show some stuff, help out with software, or clarify assignments. And then office hours at 2 o'clock are by appointment. Let me switch now to Canvas, and I will make a quick introduction, about the structure of the course and how it works. So, okay, where are we? Okay, everyone can see the Canvas page? I just need a thumbs up or a yes. Okay, good, thank you. All right, so this is our homepage, the Canvas class, right? And I think one of the things to go through is the syllabus, and then we'll go back to the Canvas. As I mentioned, this is a class about video games music, but it's not only about video games music. It's a little bit more elaborate in the sense that it covers the idea of adaptive music in general. We have here the information about the Zoom meetings, the password. I see that you managed to log in successfully. If there is a question, just shout. Yeah. So we'll be talking about so-called nonlinear music composition techniques, and nonlinear means something which is composed in a kind of interactive way, and we'll talk a lot about what it means, how nonlinear music differs from regular music, even music for film and game. I mean, one is linear, one is non-linear. So through the story of computer games, we will learn about the evolution of music and technology. We'll also develop some listening and critical analysis skills for game music and get hands-on experience for creating adaptive music. And then, you will be doing a lot of hands-on. Actually, the whole class is you know, the reading materials written quizzes, but you know, the assignments are hands-on, they're creative assignments. So we will use some software, and then there will be advanced topics which you might want to use, but you're not required to use so-called game audio middleware. So I'm reading from here. Advanced topics would include game audio middleware, sound design, and automatic composition using AI. Now let me just see. I didn't mute the participants. I think somebody has something going on in the background. How I'm fixing that. All right, Zoom meeting settings. Just a sec. Right. There's something in chat also. Okay. My mastering of Zoom is not perfect. There should be a way to mute. So whoever is not muted, if you can, please mute yourself. I know that there is a way I can mute the participants, but okay, mute all. Okay, sorry, yeah, because there was some noise coming through. Yeah, we were talking about the course summary. Okay, I'll try to keep the chat somewhere here. And it's really planned according to the 10 classes of the original kind of 10 weeks schedule. But since we are on a 5 weeks more accelerated meeting, actually every class is, well, everyone is actually one of our meetings. So today is class 1, and Wednesday will be class 2. So this is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5. We'll do an introduction. We'll talk about some of the technology, and then we'll jump into composing actually first assignment. And I will go through this more in detail now when I'll switch to the modules. Something about the assignments. Okay, assignments consist of small composition exercises. You'll have to set up some software for that. Basically, the LMMS software that I have open here, and I will walk you through this today later on, is our basic tool. You might want to use Audacity. We definitely will use Audacity later on. So you might want to either install both of them right away, or at least LMMS is required for the first homework. And this software will allow you to compose few musical examples. So the first one will be really just a few short loops to represent an ambience of a place. So the idea of the assignments are, we have 3 assignments, and they're linked to musical scenes in an imaginary game. So if we have a town theme as our first assignment, you'll have to create some kind of ambient piece. We don't expect anything musical in the sense of no like musical correctness. You're not, I mean, this class is really a general education class, but I think the best way to learn about music is to try it out, even if you don't have the musical training before. Just kind of doing stuff, and we'll explain how to do this will be much better than sitting back and just having somebody explain you stuff about music. So there's not going to be anything right or wrong, except for following basically the instructions and making sense. I mean, the music has to be linked to a scene in an imaginary game. So the first one will be like a town theme, and you'll compose something. And the second one will be creating some kind of emotional music to capture personality of the character. So in the second scene, in your imaginary game, you introduce your protagonist or antagonist or the boss or whatever. This is probably the protagonist, and you create a musical theme for that. And then the third one will be a battle scene. So we'll have basically 3 exercises where you compose really short musical excerpts and you invent a scene. You create some kind of an image for a scene. And the learning goals of each exercise will be provided in terms of musical concepts, the relevance to the game, and the techniques themselves. As I said, the evaluation, there is no prior music or programming experience required. So there is no penalty for musical correctness or errors in music. The rubrics or the criteria would be one, that you actually do the assignment, so completion of the assignment, that you follow the instructions and maybe consult some of the help materials. There is what I say, no sloppy submissions. It's true that we are not requiring, there is no like right or wrong, but you can see if somebody really kind of tried to make an effort and make things work in terms of kind of just the diligence, quality of work, the quality of the images, the sound and explanation. So the last part is written explanation. So this will be your exercise, actually creating a small piece, but also documenting and explaining why you did that. Then in the final project, there is no final exam. In the final project, you will actually take these 3 scenes and create transitions. Why transitions? Because as the title of the course suggests, this is about adaptive music. And adaptive music is really music that can change on the fly. And one of the techniques that we're going to talk about, and this is the middleware I was mentioning, is the idea of being able to kind of use your compositions as building blocks to something dynamic. So this final project consists of creating an adaptive music plan for your own idea of a game. And the final soundtrack doesn't have to, but most likely it will reuse compositions from the assignments to create a walkthrough, one possible walkthrough through a game, or basically through the scenes of your game. And when you do the transitions, when you move from one scene to another one, because now it's dynamic, you can go into a battle scene, you can go back, maybe you can go back into the city or back into the forest, or again, these are going to be very small. This is like 3-4 scene games that you will imagine. And you don't program them, you just write them down as a storyboard. But when things happen, you add so-called transitions, and we'll talk about stingers. So a lot of adaptive music is really about how to make music, maybe sometimes generative. We'll talk about what is generative music, basically music that is totally generated by the computer. But a lot of this are so-called adaptive composition techniques, which are recombining blocks of music, either horizontally or vertically. So we'll talk about that. Grading. So as I said, there are 3 homework projects, each 10%. We'll have home take, I would call it midterm, but it's basically just a short assignment. That will be another 10%. So that's the only thing which is not yet published. The homework projects are published, the readings are published, and then there are quizzes. They're basically little quizzes for every reading that will add up to the last 30. The overall will be 30%, and then the last one will be your final project 30%. So that makes 100. Usually I say we because I have TAs and maybe tutors, but in this case I have to say I will give an extra credit for another 5% if on the last meeting people would like to make a presentation of their final project. The submission itself is not as a presentation. You will actually submit this online, and I have a detailed, the website has a detailed description of what the submissions requirements are, but I would give extra 5% credit for people actually showcasing their work and discussing this, and that will be our actually class number 10, will be a summary and the possibility to present some of the work. Since we won't be able to accommodate everyone, we'll figure out some way of you basically sending me or reserving your place if you want to do the extra credit. So that's extra 5 points, it's beyond. There is also another quiz that will, not quiz, just a survey, an end of class survey that will give you another 1.5 extra credit %. So, I think there's enough extras here and a lot of flexibility, both in terms of time and the project itself, that I'm sure everybody will do great in the class. So this is the description of the extra credit. Late policy, please read this. The only late policy is about the assignments. As I said, the readings, you do it on your own. I'll be just checking the assignments in a certain way, and that's the only thing that is kind of timelined. So it's asynchronous, but not totally asynchronous. We have deadlines for the assignments. And then if you don't submit this 2 days after the deadline, you cannot submit this anymore. So you will lose the whole 10 points. But if you submit it 1 day later, you'll lose 1 point. If you submit it 2 days later, you'll get only 8 out of 10. So this is 10% off the 10%. That's it. I'll be referring to this book, Reading Materials, just to make sure the readings are to help you go through the quizzes and the materials. It's not a required reading per se. In previous offerings, I would actually make this as a required reading. I do have the reading list for the different modules, and it would help a lot. I think this is a great resource. There are some other articles that I might post later, or there are a lot of links in the notes to websites and other blogs and articles. But this is a good book. So bookstore might have it still, at least from the last time I offered the class. If not, I just recommend you maybe to check it out and follow the sections. Okay, so this is the introduction. Let me kind of stop the recording because I prefer to have shorter ones, and then take a question or two, and then go and survey the class, basically the class materials, review them.